Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. This video is gonna be me reading strictly romance books for a week. I actually filmed this intro after I finished it, and I'm super excited about it. Well, you'll see. But I decided to read 4 different kinds of romances, like different characters, different stories. So like the first book I read was a more traditional romance. The second one was a more, not romance subplot, but there was a little bit more of like self-discovery within the characters than in the more traditional romance. The third book I read was a darker romance, which I've never read before. So I thought that that was kind of a fun way for me to get into the genre. I don't know if I can describe dark romance as being fun, but well, you'll see my thoughts about it. And the last book that I read was a collection of short story romances, and yeah, I just wanted to switch it up. I wanted to not read the same kind of book, see if which kind of romance book was my favorite, and I actually found my new favorite book in this video, so it was a good one. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get into the video. Please ignore everything going on in the background here. I am at my house in New Jersey. I'm home from school for spring break, and I'm filming this video. So I just finished The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I actually finished it last night, and I waited to like sit with it a little bit until I did my Goodreads and did my like review of it here. I read a lot of this Saturday night and yesterday in the car, so I don't think I have any footage of me reading it, so I think the intro just cut to this clip. But anyway, this is the first book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. This is actually my sister's copy of this book. I don't have it. I read it on my Kindle. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars, even though yesterday, before I had finished it, I told my sister that I was going to rate it a 2 out of 5. I rated this a 3 because I wasn't a huge fan of Rowan's character. I think that he definitely had a lot more groveling to do with Zara, I think is how you say her name. And I just like think that, I don't know, he was just too grumpy for the grumpy sunshine thing. Like, she was so sunshine and he was so grumpy. Once the characters got together for the first time, like, the plot really fell off, and that was half my problem with the book. I don't really think this was a spoiler because it was mentioned in the very beginning, but there was kind of an interesting relationship between Zara and the grandfather, like Rowan's grandfather, and it kind of had like a huge impact on the storyline, but you never really saw like what their relationship was. Like, it was kind of just like, oh, they have a relationship and it has this like huge impact on the story, but like you know what the relationship is and you know why it is, but I feel like it could have been explained a lot more and could have been more of a plot point, and then what happened because of it would have made more sense. I just wish that that relationship was like explored more before that point came up. The next romance book that I'm gonna read is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, I think is how you say that. And I have heard really good things about this. It's supposed to be like a really cute, really good romance. It is about a girl named Clementine who goes to live in her aunt's apartment. And there's a man there, but he's from 7 years in the past, and she lives 7 years in the future. So it's kind of like this describes it as a pinch in time. So there you go. I think it'll be interesting. I've heard really good things about it. I actually just bought this today. I don't know how well you can hear me, but I am about halfway through the 7-Year Slip. I just wanted to update before I forget because I was reading it inside and then I got in the car and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to update on the 7-Year Slip. I like it a lot. I got to about halfway. I think I'm on page like 140 something. I really like it. I didn't really like it in the beginning. The first couple chapters were kind of like slow. It was just talking about her and like where she works. And then it got into like the apartment and I was like, this is what I want, like this is what I'm looking for. And I really liked it when I got into the apartment, and then it kind of like stopped with
the apartment and got back into like her job, and I was like, okay, this is weird, but it all connects. So I think that if I would have known that it all connects, I would have enjoyed the first few chapters more, I think, than I did. But knowing that now, I'm like looking back, I'm like, okay, that was important, so it's good that I read that. But yeah, I really like, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here, because it's at kind of like an interesting point in the story, and I'm just really hoping that this is a happy ending, because the way that the writing is, I have a feeling that it's not going to be a happy ending, and I really want it to be a happy ending. So I finished the 7-Year Slip. It is actually Friday now, and this is many days later, but I finished the 7-Year Slip Wednesday night, and I never filmed a clip of like my thoughts of it or what I rated it. Unfortunately, I don't have the book anymore. I left it at home because I finished it and I limited space on my bookshelves here, but I did read this one on an actual book and not like on the Kindle. I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought the romance was really sweet, and I don't know, I just thought it was a very, not like a super intricate book, like not something that you had to like really be focusing on to understand, but it was definitely not just a romance book. Like it was so many other things, and I really liked it. Like I thought it was really good. I rated it 5 stars. I have been raving about it, literally telling everyone that will listen, go read the 7-Year Slip, because I thought it was really good. And even like 2 days later, I still thought it was really good. Like it's slowly became one of my favorite romance books that I've ever read. I would say like it was definitely a little bit tough to get into in the beginning. I know I said that before, but the first few chapters were kind of irrelevant, and I was like, why am I learning about this? Until I realized why I had to be learning about it, and then it made sense. So I can understand how it would be kind of hard to get into as a romance book, because a lot of the times like it's just common with the genre that you just jump right into the romance and then that's the entire plot. Usually like there's other points, but most of the time the romance is the entire plot and everything happens for the romance. And I would say like this book, like the stuff happens for the romance, but there was like personal growth between the main characters and stuff. Like it wasn't that long of a book, and I feel like there was so much because the time in the book was passing. Sometimes you read a 400-page book and it's in the span of like 2 days, and sometimes with this book you read it and it's like a 400-page book and it happens in the span of a year. So I just really enjoyed it. I loved it, and 5 stars. Alright, so right now I'm reading Addicted to You on the Kindle by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is definitely more of a darker romance for sure, but in this video, like I wanted to explore all of the kind of genres of romance. So I started reading this one last night. I'm on page 33, so I didn't get that far into it, but I did get a couple chapters into it, and so far it's just like background, so I don't really have a ton to say about it because there's not really a lot going on. Even though I've only read like a couple chapters, the romance between Lo and Lily I think is very apparent already. Like they're obviously attracted to each other, like she's very much obviously attracted to him, and they're fake dating. They're in a fake relationship with their parents right now. So they also live together, so that's really interesting too. I'm gonna read some of this right now and we'll see how far I get into it. I just finished Addicted to You. Like I literally just finished it. I got to like, thank you for reading. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think that, what is this book genre? Like actually, let me look that up. So this was definitely a darker romance book. If you guys don't know anything about this book, it's about Lily and Lo who are in college and they're like trust fund kids. Their families have tons of money and they both have really bad addictions, and they're fake dating to like be addicted to things in private so that their family doesn't ask them questions about it, and they end up pursuing an actual relationship, but their addictions get in the way. They're also like addicted to each other. It's just like a whole thing. I think that this story was really interesting because it really touched on addiction and
how much like it can affect you, like two completely different types of addiction too. And I thought it was really good. I was listening to, this is completely unrelated to the plot, but I was listening to the Spotify playlists that Krista Ritchie made for them, and like I listened to the Lily and Low one, and it was amazing for the book. Like it was great. I loved it. It really touched on like how addictions can affect like families, friends, stuff like that, and I thought it was good. Honestly, I would rate it probably like a 3.75. I think I rated it a 4 out of 5 on Goodreads, but I would definitely rate it a 3.75. The characters, like I understand why they're the way that they were, but I was getting frustrated by Lily a lot in the second half because I think she was making decisions for Lo that weren't really hers to make. Like I understand that she wanted to help him, blah blah blah, but I think that she should have also been making those same decisions by herself, but she just wasn't, because she was like worried about his addiction because it's arguably a little bit more serious than Lily's is, just in terms of like health and stuff. But I feel like she wasn't thinking about him in those moments. She was just thinking about herself, which I understand because they're toxic for each other, and that's kind of just how her character is. A lot of it was like she would say like, oh, you should stop doing this, and then he would say you should stop doing this. Like that was always her argument, is like if she told him no, then he would tell her no too. And like I understand that, but it was just like, then stop telling him no. If you keep saying like you can't tell him no because it's hypocritical and whatever, then stop trying to tell him no. You know what I mean? And I didn't really like Reich. I liked his character. I thought Reich was a good like villain for the story, but I didn't like his character because he was the villain of the story. Do you know what I mean? Which I know he wasn't. But of like the 4 main characters, I think he was definitely the villain. But he did help them and everything. So I read this book in probably like 3.5 hours. So I read it for a half an hour last night, and then I was reading it for literally 3 hours today. And 3.75 out of 5. And honestly, I need like a happy romance now. So I want to pick out another book, and I just organized my bookshelf. So I brought you guys down over here. I'm torn between the Bromance Book Club by Alyssa K. Adams. I've heard good things about this. It's honestly, it's a romance, but the main character is a guy, and I've never read a book like that, like a romance book like that. So I'm kind of really intrigued to see like how the emotions and stuff are written. But this book is about like guys who have a book club, and they use romance books to like get women. It's a series. This is the first book in a series, but I don't know. I really want to read this book, but I'm going to read this for a video later, so stay tuned for that. So I can't read that one. Would it count if I read Loathe to Love You? Because technically it's like multiple stories. Wait, which one should I read? Loathe to Love You or Bromance Book Club? Bromance Book Club. National Legends, second generation, and Scott's series, usually he just started because he has always taken the when he was in revelation, it's a natural relationship. He asked for it, was last time figured out. That help from analysis on the resources, the natural compliment. Ooh. I don't know anything. Now there could be a senior reason according to contest. You guys are on same marriage, long words and gestures. Okay, so this is a book. He's trying to win back his wife, and he's in a book club with other alpha males. That's what it says in the back of the book. I didn't come up with that. Anyway. So, a collection of CD Simmons novellas. Marcy and Hannah first always feels like the world and social. My husband's wife track with environmental engineering source science. God, which is stuck with her help. A detestable lawyer won't be friends. So that's a one bed trope, I guess. Stuck with you. Someone here says take a right way and left the next one makes below zero. Enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers. Okay. They're all enemies to lovers, like stuck together. I'm gonna read this one. Probably the final romance book that I'm gonna read this week is Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. This is a collection of short stories, like I said. Finished the first short story in Loathe to Love You, which was Under One Roof, which is where Mara ends up living with Liam and they like have a little romance. I honestly like that story. I really liked because I wish that it was longer. The only thing is I thought that they're like Liam, he was kind of strange. just in the way that like his like mannerisms were strange, if that makes any sense. And then I started reading Stuck With You. I'm on page 134, so I'm like 10 pages in to Stuck With You, but I realized that the girls are like a friend group, which is cool. Like in the first short story, Mara was talking about her best friend Sadie and Hannah, and in the second short story, Sadie just mentioned Mara and Hannah. And so I'm assuming the third one, Below Zero, is going to be about Hannah. And I'm assuming that these are them on the covers. And if I had to guess, I would say this is Mara and Liam. This is Sadie and whoever this guy is. And then this is Hannah and whoever that guy is. So I don't know. Their names aren't on the back, so far it's good. I just finished the second short story in Loathe to Love You. I'm on page 240. And I didn't like that one as much as I liked the first one. I think this one was more of like a miscommunication trope rather than like an enemies to lovers, which I think the first one is like forced proximity trope. The second one is miscommunication, and the third one is probably gonna be like true enemies to lovers, because on the back it says her longtime rival, and I'm assuming this is gonna be about Hannah, because the first one was Mara and the second one was Sadie. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like the second one as much. But I'm gonna try and finish this tonight, like in the next like hour or so, because I only have, how many pages are in this book? I only have like 100 pages left. Yeah, I only have like I have 130 pages left. So I'm hoping to finish this in the next like hour or so. Just finished Loathe to Love You completely, and I would probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like the best book I've ever read, and no, I would give it a 4 out of 5. I would definitely give it a 4 out of 5. I think that the romance between Liam and Mara was my favorite. And then my second favorite was probably Ian and Hannah, just because, I don't know. I think like Sadie and Eric, like, I don't know. They were just very much like insta-lovey. Liam and Mara were living together for like a couple months before they even got together. And I think it was like 5 years for Ian and Hannah. And then Sadie and Eric was like a week. It was a little too insta-lovey for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me reading only romance for a week. I honestly thought that it was a lot of fun. I found one of my new favorite books, so that's good. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, this was a really fun week for me. I love romance books, and it's one of my favorite genres, honestly, or it's become one of my favorite genres, especially from this video. So it's super fun to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Mwah.